What's up guys, welcome back to another episode of My Team Career Mode. Today we are here for the start of this American Grand Prix, and as you can see it will be a dry race. So we can just focus on our dry setups as there is a regulation change, so we are necessary to do some R&D upgrades so that we can protect those changes which we have made in this season. So we will be doing some practice sessions and also gaining some R&D points with our teammate, and using these R&D points we will be upgrading our car with the chassis section and the aerodynamic section, because currently we are lacking in the straight line speed. And now we are making some final changes to the setup for this American Grand Prix, but I made a mistake, and that is I did not change the turbocharger and MGH component, and this is the second time in this season that I have made this mistake. So yeah, I had to take a grid penalty, so I abandoned my qualifying lap and just went for a changing the parts. And this is the race for which we are just adjusting our setup, as Leclerc, Verstappen and Sainz are in the top 3, as Daniel Ricciardo is in the 5 and Schumacher is 7. So probably some of the others are also taking some grid penalties, so that's why I think the Haas and Alpine are getting into the top 10 positions, and I'll be starting at the back of the race with our teammate higher up the order. So without further ado, let's start this American Grand Prix, as there is 5 red lights, and away we go for the start of this Grand Prix at Austin, Texas. And we get a little bit of wheel spin, but somehow we manage to control that, and obviously we are at the back of the field, so we are trying to gain as many positions as we can at the turn 1. As you can see, we are just careful so that the cars do not collide with us, and we must be able to manage our front wing so that we do not get damaged at the first lap itself. As you can see, it is complete traffic jam, as we had a slight bit of collision with Vettel, which gives us a FIA warning. And right now we are behind Gasly and Latifi, as Latifi is just becoming too aggressive at this American Grand Prix, so we need to be careful about him, otherwise he may give us some damage which is not necessary. As I almost crashed into the back of Gasly with braking as late as possible, and I had to go off the track to avoid colliding with the side pod of Gasly. However, the AlphaTauri has a superior straight line speed due to its Red Bull engine, so we cannot have a match to that, as we just go over those yellow curbs which unsettles our car. And Latifi senses an opportunity for an overtake, but he couldn't, as we are constantly having to control our car to avoid getting some oversteer moment here at this Austin Grand Prix. So it will be a struggle to keep our car in between the white lines. As you can see here, Alfa Romeo just makes a mistake. I think it was Bottas, yes. So he locks up at the front, so which gives the opportunity for the rear of the field to overtake him, as Gasly and I are just behind the Bottas. So right now we are just trying to gain as many positions as we can here at the lap 6 of this US Grand Prix. You can see that we are lacking in the straight line speed, because obviously our powertrain is not as powerful as our competitors are. So you can see here Vettel just easily overtakes us, but we have the braking capability which makes us go deep into this corner and overtake Vettel. So this is where our strong point is, that we are much better at the braking section, and we need to utilize this ability to make some certain overtakes. As in the lap 11 you can see there is a traffic jam forming in front of us, because I think someone is having some damage, or I think their tires are going off, so we need to take that into consideration, that our competitors may not be having some advantage in the tires. So we are in the mediums and it is lap 11, so our tires are also dropping off, so we need to be careful that if we can be able to manage our tires carefully, then in the next stint with the hard tires we can at least make some improvement in our position. But as you can see, Vettel just overtakes us, and it is no match with this Aston Martin car, as it is powered by the Mercedes engine, but still he just locks up in this corner, and which lets us go through. And now Gasly and Sainz are behind Vettel, so it is creating a traffic jam behind us, and now we are trying to gain as many positions as we can by just simply following Gasly and Bottas. So it is a DRS train forming here at this US Grand Prix, and for that we need to be aware of the fact that not everyone in front of us are having such braking capabilities at this corner, so we need to make use of it. As you can see right now we just go past Bottas, because obviously he did not have the braking capability at that turn, but still he has a powerful engine which makes him gain some momentum and ground at the straight. Again we just go over those yellow curves, which just unsettles our car and probably may give us float damage if we are not careful about that. So we need to be careful about that. And right now you can see some of the competitors are going into the pits, as our teammate Dragovic also pitted. From the point of view of Carlos Sainz, you can see that we made a mistake in our rear end which lets him overtake us, and obviously he has taken I think engine warranty. No, I think he had a damage, so he had to pit early for this medium tires. So for that he had to, I think, start from the rear after the lap 1 or 2. So yeah, it is a disappointing race for the Ferrari, as we are just having to go through all this pit traffic because all these cars are on the fresh set of tires. So they will be having some pace advantage, but at the same time they will be also having cold tires. So it is a mixed situation, as right now we are just being careful so that we do not lose the rear end of our car, as our tire wear is already almost reaching 60%. So we need to be careful with the overtakes and the braking situation, as Russell overtakes us, and obviously we will try to go for a dive bomb and he just leaves us enough of space, but we made a slight bit of contact with his side pod, so fortunately did not give damage to either of us, and there was no warning from the FIA also. So we are just trying to compose ourselves as we get a warning for collision with Schumacher, which is like crazy because he just made a slight bit of contact with us, so it was not a big issue, but still the FIA did give us some warning. So yeah, GG's to FIA, as we are just reaching the pits as 62% tire wear on the front left. So I hope the boys can give us some fantastic job at the pit stop. Yes, they can, as they gave us a 2.5 seconds pit stop, because in this earlier race we had some issue with fixing the left rear tire. So now at the lap 17 you can see we are just behind Vettel, and we are just trying to utilize our ERS levels, and also with having the slipstream and DRS, which is not quite powerful in this season. So we are just trying to overtake Vettel, but he goes and smashes the side pod of Tsunoda. So that is quite crazy, because you can just imagine the scenes as an Aston Martin just collides with an AlphaTauri, and obviously Vettel uses it, Tsunoda, as a defense from being overtaken by us, as we just go down the inside. We at least try to go down the inside, but he places the car brilliantly, Tsunoda. So right now we are just following this train of cars, and we are stuck in a DRS train, as we just tried to go around the outside at this turn 1, and we somehow managed to stick our car right down the inside at this turn 2, and Tsunoda just leaves us enough of a space to place our car. So we will need to be careful with the other teams, as they might be having some advantage in the pace department, but we need to utilize our knowledge and technical skills so that we can just go through the traffic like how we are doing here to Tsunoda. Just he left enough of a space, and we just went down the inside at this stadium section, I think. Yeah, some, let's call it a stadium section. So yeah, again here in this turn 1 you can see we are going down the outside, and we just tried to go around the outside, but still Tsunoda just closed the gap. And again here at the lap 20 you can see we are just going through those yellow curves, as this Williams of Albon has just parked at the turn 1. I don't know why. He did not has an engine failure, so I did not know why he did the parking at the turn 1, because obviously it is a dangerous spot to do so, as we tried to go past Vettel. So you can see the turn 1 is becoming a favorite spot of us for overtaking, and Vettel and I are just racing side by side, and George Russell goes DNF. So a Mercedes engine has DNF'd at this US Grand Prix, and right now we are behind our teammate Dragovic, who is 6 tenths ahead of us, and we are just trying to avoid those yellow curbs, but somehow we still manage to get over those only, as Vettel just again overtakes us. But we go down the inside, obviously you know the drill, get overtaken at the straights and go down the inside at the turns. So that is how our car right now is, because obviously we do not have the straight line speed, so we need to improve those R&D department upgrades at the powertrain section, so that we can gain those straight line speeds, and so that we can be at least powerful in the straights also, because right now we are just struggling all over the place, as Vettel did overtake us in the previous lap. So now we need to do some catching, as Tsunoda is 7 tenths behind us. So there is two dangers, like we are not able to overtake Vettel, and at the same time Tsunoda is trying to overtake us. So we are just holding by the last straw here at this P18 position at the US Grand Prix, as Verstappen wins the US Grand Prix. So GG's to Red Bull, as they are obviously becoming dominant, and I think Charles Leclerc still has the lead of this championship. So we will have to check those at the standings, as Tsunoda finally overtakes us and we finish in P20. So it was kind of a disappointing race, because obviously we did not take the component change at the earliest, so which led us to some penalty, as Lewis Hamilton goes from P10 to P4 and Pierre Gasly goes from P20 to P9. So remarkable drive from the AlphaTauri, as Carlos Sainz from P3 he went to P13, so it was a disappointing race for him as he had to do some two stops. Sebastian Vettel and Felipe Dragovic, they were just fighting side by side, but Vettel has a disappointing race because he went from P10 to P17 or 18, I think, as Charles Leclerc still leads the championship from Verstappen and Hamilton, and Ferrari is still leading the Constructors' Championship. So it will be a tough season as the upcoming races are Brazil, so they need to improve their performance, the Red Bull team, if they have a chance at going for the constructors, as we are just going through some R&D upgrades. And Valtteri Bottas has announced his retirement. So in the earlier episode Sebastian Vettel announced retirement, and then here Bottas will be retiring. So this is the end of this US Grand Prix, and we will meet you again at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix at Brazil. So if you guys do like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe this channel for daily F122 videos. Peace.